Good morning and welcome to Koikimedia Live as we continue our quest and our campaign to the Yoruba self-determination. I'd like to say good morning and welcome to this live transmission. It is coming up to just 7 minutes before 3 a.m. from London, where this transmission is actually coming from. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, popularly known as Koikimedia, one out of so many Yoruba campaigners towards the right of the Yoruba people to self-determination. I would like to welcome you to another beautiful edition of this broadcast. Please share the program and remember to invite your friends and family to listen to our argument and the reasons why the Yoruba people under the leadership of Professor Banji Akintoye is actually asking for Yoruba nation as against restructuring of Nigeria. Mo kí gbogbo wa níbi tí ẹ bá ti láǹfààní àti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní wákàtí àti gbogbo àwọn tó máa láǹfààní àti wo broadcast yìí nígbàkigbà tí ẹ bá láǹfààní àti wò ó. Mo kí wa pé a tún káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa, ètò Koikimedia, níbi tí a ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá àti àwọn ìdí pàtàkì tí Yorùbá ṣe gbọ́dọ̀ dá dúró kúrò látara Nàìjíríà. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá ni wọ́n máa ń béèrè pé kí ni ìdí tí a ṣe ń polongo àti pé kí ni ìdí gangan tí a ṣe fẹ́ ní ààfin kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà mọ́. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìdí ni ó wà. Gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ni a máa ṣàlàyé àti ibi tí a ti ń bọ̀ láti bí ọdún mẹ́rin àti ibi tá à ń lọ àti kókó ìdí gangan tí orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú kan tí òun náà máa ṣe nǹkan mìírìmíìrín bí wọ́n ti ṣe ń ṣe ní gbogbo àgbáyé. Ìdí tí bàbá wa alànà, ìyẹn Professor Banji Akintoye, ni wọ́n ṣe tún ṣe ìta ń pè ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àlàyé fún àwa sọ̀rọ̀sọ̀rọ̀ láti lè máa fi bá ọmọ Yorùbá sọ̀rọ̀, nítorí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá wọ́n mọ kí ni kókó gangan tí a ṣe ń polongo pé a fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tẹ̀ ń rò pé bóyá àwa àti Nàìjíríà bóyá ní gbólóhùn tí a fi ń bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ tí ó ń bí wa nínú. Gbogbo àwọn ìdí tí a ṣe máa wá gbé àwọn ètò tí alànà ṣẹ̀ fún wa pé ká máa fi bá gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá sọ̀rọ̀, inú ẹ̀ ni a fẹ́ múlò ní wákàtí. So mo bẹ̀ wá, mo rọ̀ wá, gbogbo ẹni tó bá rí fọ́nrán ẹ̀, ó ṣe kókó pé kí ẹ bá wa pín kí ó kárí gbogbo ilé. Èní ni 20 ọjọ́ oṣù karùn-ún ọdún 2024, níbi tí ètò yìí ti ń wá sí inú ibi tí ẹ ti ń wò wá. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ a máa gbọ́ wa lórí Facebook, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ a máa gbọ́ wa lórí YouTube. Aláǹfààní pé a wà lórí Twitter, a tún wà lórí Twitter Space, a wà lórí Instagram, a dẹ̀ wà lórí MixLR, which is like an audio version. Fáǹfààní àwọn tí wọ́n ní data tó pọ̀ ní ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ wa láti Nàìjíríà. An audio version. Mo wá kí ọba Elédùmarè tí ó ní ẹ̀mí gbogbo wa, torí ẹ̀mí tó ń lọ sókè tó ń wá sílẹ̀ yìí, ọba Elédùmarè òun ló ní ní wákàtí tó dẹ̀ ní kó jẹ́ kí ẹ̀mí ọlá wa kó gùn ju bá ṣe ń fẹ́ lọ. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kò ní dàrú, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kò ní bàjẹ́. Àmọ́ gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ń pètò pé kí ìran Yorùbá kó má lè rí in tí Elédùmarè tó torí ẹ̀ ní ká wá sáyé kárí ṣe. Yálà Mùsùlùmí ni ẹ́, kò bá in tá ń béèrè fún jẹ́. Ọmọ Mùsùlùmí ní gbogbo àgbáyé tí a mọ̀ ní wákàtí, gbogbo wọn pátápátá ni wọ́n ń ṣe dáadáa láti ibi tí ìlú tí wọ́n wà. ò bá wà ní Europe, ò bá wà ní Africa, kò wà ní Asia, gbogbo ọmọ mùsùlùmí tèmi mọ̀ tó ń gbé ní UK, wọ́n ń lọ sí school. Fúlàní ò ń jí wọn gbé, wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan mìíràn. Kódà dókítà wà láàrin wọn, a rí scientist, a rí bus driver, a rí àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lóríṣiríṣi ọ̀nà, a rí àwọn tó jẹ́ olùkọ́ náà. Kí ló wá dé tí ọmọ mùsùlùmí tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó di pé rọ́wọ́ mú gbogbo ẹ̀dí tí a ṣe láti jẹ́ kó yé wa pé ẹ̀sìn mùsùlùmí kò tako ẹ̀sìn pé a fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà. Nàìjíríà ni ó ń dìbà ìwọ tó jẹ́ ọmọ mùsùlùmí tí ò fi rí ṣe. Ó kọ́ Arabic kò bá Yorùbá nation pò fẹ́ jẹ́ ọmọ ìlú tó jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá nation. Ẹ rí pé ní Saudi Arabia wọ́n ní security, wọ́n níná, wọ́n ń lọ síbi iṣẹ́. Ní United Arab Emirates wọ́n ní gbogbo ohun tí ìjọba ń pèsè fún wọn gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn Islamic country. Kódà tó bá dé Qatar, wà rí pọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Qatar wọ́n gbádùn ju ọmọ mùsùlùmí tó ń bẹ nínú Nàìjíríà lọ. So bí yẹn ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn. So gbogbo ìgbà tá bá ń polongo pé a fẹ́ dá dúró, a fẹ́ ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà, mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí máa rò bí à ń tako ẹ̀sìn. Torí pé Yorùbá Nation Movement kò kí ń ṣe ẹgbẹ́, kò ń ṣe political party. So gbogbo ìgbàkígbà tí ẹ bá ń láǹfààní àti máa rí wa, tẹ́ ń gbọ́ wa, ẹ máa fi sọ́kàn pé Yorùbá Nation Movement kò tako ẹ̀sìn mùsùlùmí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kẹ́yìn Kristẹni, màmá ní what God cannot do does not exist. Tó bá lọ sí Jerusalem, tó bá lọ sí gbogbo àwọn ìlú tí Christian country títí dé ibi tí Jésù tí ó kú sí àti gbogbo ìlú tó jẹ́ Christian country títí dé Italy. Most European countries are very mixed, but púpọ̀ nínú wọn Kristẹni ni wọ́n. Tó bá lọ sí Cyprus ò ní nǹkan tó pọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú, àmọ́ àwọn Kristẹni tó ń gbé níbẹ̀, a gbọ́ pé wọ́n jí wọn gbé, a gbọ́ pé wọ́n ò ríṣẹ́ ṣe, a gbọ́ pé ayé wọn kò lọ síwájú látara pé ìlú tó ń gbé. So tá bá wá ń polongo pé a fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà, tí à ń sọ pé a fẹ́ dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè. Orílẹ̀-èdè ni àwọn tó ń sọ èdè kan náà, àwọn tó jẹ́ ẹlẹ́yà kan náà, àwọn tó jẹ́ oníṣe kan náà. Kò wá sọ pé àwọn ẹlòmíì, àwọn ìlú míì kò ní máa bá wa gbé. Christian country ní United Kingdom, àmọ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀yà, oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀sìn, oríṣiríṣi tradition, culture ni ó ń gbé níbẹ̀. Wà wá máa respect òfin ìlú yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí Mùsùlùmí, Kristẹni àtẹni tí kò gba ẹ̀sìn kankan. So gbogbo ìgbà tá bá ń polongo, tá ń sọ pé a fẹ́ dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè. Lára àwọn nǹkan tí bàbá wa alànà Professor Banji Akintoye tí wọ́n ti fi ṣọwọ́ sí wa pé ká máa fi bá àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá sọ̀rọ̀ kí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín kó lè yé yín pé Yorùbá Nation tí à ń polongo kò tako ẹ̀sìn Kristẹni, kò dẹ̀ tako àwọn tó ń ṣe Kristẹni. Bàbá gba Yorùbá Nation lénìí tí a dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè. Ẹni tó fẹ́ ṣe ẹ̀sìn Kristẹni, wọ́n á máa ṣiṣẹ́ ẹ̀sìn Kristẹni tó fẹ́ ṣe lọ. Ẹni tó fẹ́ ṣe Mùsùlùmí, bẹ́ẹ̀ wà láǹfààní àti ṣe Mùsùlùmí tí kò ní jẹ́ pé èyí tí wọ́n máa darí ẹ̀ wá láti north, kó jẹ́ pé kẹ́ tó kírun, Sultan ló máa ṣàlàyé fún yín pé àsìkò tẹ́ gbọ́dọ̀ kírun lélẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí Mùsùlùmí, wọ́n ní máa sọ fún ẹ pé nǹkan báyìí ló lè ṣe, nǹkan báyìí ló lè ṣe. Gbogbo òfin tí wọ́n ń lò ní Saudi, nígbà tẹ́ bá lọ sí Saudi àbí nígbà tẹ́ bá lọ Jerusalem, gbogbo àwọn òfin yẹn náà ni ìran Yorùbá náà máa ṣe tiẹ̀ lábẹ́ ìjọba Yorùbá nígbà tí àsìkò yẹn tí ó bá tó ní àìpẹ́ láì jìnnà. So mo wá fi àsìkò yìí pé gbogbo ẹ̀yin Kristẹni tí ẹ bá ń gbọ́ wa, ẹ bá túbọ̀ máa bẹ Ọlọ́run, ẹ bá wa fi àsìkò sọ fún Ọlọ́run tí yín pé kó má pẹ́ kó jìnnà kí ìran Yorùbá kó dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè kan. Ìyẹn lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe pé àbọ̀rú àbọ̀yè gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá, ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá tí ó jẹ́ pé ẹ̀sìn baba ńlá yín òun lẹ gbé dání, kò tako Yorùbá nation tá gbé dání. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò sí ìjà láàrin ọmọ Yorùbá kankan ju pé gbọ́mi ò tó ni kò yéra wa. Ẹni tó jẹ́ ẹlẹ́sìn àbáláyé kò tẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ní ìlú yìí, ìyẹn prime minister tí ó jẹ́ Rishi Sunak, nígbà tó máa kọ́kọ́ di prime minister tó fẹ́ wọnú ilé tó máa gbé, ó ṣe àwọn bí nǹkan tí a lè sọ pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlànà tó jẹ́ ọmọ ìlú tó jẹ́, ó ṣe àwọn tradition ẹ̀ tí kò tako ẹnìkankan ju pé in tó gbàgbọ́ nìyẹn. So gbogbo àkígbà tá a bá ń polongo Yorùbá nation, mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́yin ẹlẹ́sìn àbáláyé kẹ́ máa rò pé a fẹ́ fi tako ẹ̀sìn yín àbí a fẹ́ fi tako ìran àwọn baba ńlá wa. Mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, mo ní iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, forílẹ̀ ibi wa, ká gbéga, ká gbéga, ká gbéga fàlérí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bá ti bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹ́jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Tẹ̀síwájú fọ́pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. And on that note, we will kickstart the program at about 5 minutes past 3 a.m. from London. Once again, a kú ọjọ́ ajé, àrájé jẹun. Àmọ́ nínú Nàìjíríà, ìdí tí ẹ̀ ṣe rájé jẹun gbogbo ẹ̀ kò ju pé àwọn tí wọ́n fa ìrìn àjò ọmọ Yorùbá sẹ́yìn, àwọn ni wọ́n jẹ́ kí a rí ajé jẹun. Àwa ń bẹ Elédùmarè pé láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà kó tú wa nínú ìdì tí àwọn amúnisìn tí wọ́n kó wa sínú ẹ̀ tó fi di pé gbogbo gbọ́mi ò tó tí ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá lénìí. Àwọn tó fa ìdí yẹn ni pé wọ́n kó wa papọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹ̀yà kan tí àwọn tí wọ́n ní ibi tó ń lọ ju pé wọ́n fẹ́ fa ìrìn economy Yorùbá, wọ́n fẹ́ fà sẹ́yìn. A 95-page document have been received by Koikimedia from the office of the leader of the Yoruba Nation movement under Professor Banji Akintoye. You all remember that during one of the conversation with the leader about 2 weeks ago, he did assure us that the media will be having serious conversation and serious discussion regarding many reasons that the path to prosperity in our ORILEEDE YORUBA needs to come true. I have received my own document, just as many other media campaigners have also received it. So what we're going to be doing within the next couple of days, weeks, months, years, depending on how quick the country we are all clamoring for will become reality. But the most important thing is to continue to give the good news. What is the good news? The good news is the path to prosperity in our ORILEEDE Yoruba, which is written by Professor Banji Akintoye. Well details. I will give us, I've picked one of the topics from it tonight, which I will be discussing. It's all in English, but we try and say we can do a bit of translation along the line. It comes with different areas of discussions, things that many of you are worried about, things that many of you are concerned. tí a máa ń ní àwọn ìbéèrè kan méjì pé tá bá dá dúró irú ìjọba wo la máa ṣe, tá bá dá dúró irú this, that. All these have been kind of drafted in a way that we can quickly deliver the message to you. Some of those might be like, maybe we would do it from my platform, like this topic, I might treat it for probably maybe a week, and then we move to the next one. But because this is the first day of discussing these, remember that we still have the letter that we've sent to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we're expecting a kind of acknowledgement in the next couple of months should the President Tinubu acknowledge it, which is a deadline of the 15th of June. What is going to happen after that, I don't know, but I will be explaining that as soon as the 15th of June. So we're hoping that, President Tinubu will not be like the former President Muhammadu Buhari that did not acknowledge our letter that we sent to him. Also, there's a lot to cover. Remember that we are also still discussing a peaceful dissolution of Nigeria is in the interest of every Nigeria. The argument is the Nigerian economy has literally collapsed, not because of anything, it's because deliberately Nigerian economy was never going to be fruitful because for 63 years we refused to do the needful for the citizens in terms of health, education, security, production, and many investors will not likely invest or take that huge risk. Some would do, but majority will probably look for a stable country. So if we come out of Nigeria, we would also have the opportunity to engage more countries from Africa, Asia, and around the world. So this particular document that we're going to be treating, it comes with the headline that says the good news, path to prosperity in our ORILEEDE Yoruba. I say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're watching. I will not be mentioning your names, but we do acknowledge each and every one of you because of the time constraint and the purpose of sitting here. We will probably appreciate you along the line, but please don't expect us to be calling your name in the line of the broadcast this morning. This was put together, with a man that has vast amount of history around Nigeria. He's an historian, he's a professor. He lived in the state for a very long time until he returned back to Nigeria, and he decided that in the interest of the Yoruba people, what we should be talking about is not to remain in Nigeria because Nigeria is holding us backwards as Yoruba people. So I'm going to read the introduction, then I will be telling you the content of this document. It's about 95 pages. So we're going to be treating it one at a time. It is all well in details. I am still studying it myself, but like I said, the topic tonight, which is we are a nation with proud roots and a proud history. Ìran Yorùbá ó ní roots àdẹ̀ní history. Most of you, if you do not know your roots and your history, you would think that Nigeria that was only created by the British through the fraudulent 1914 amalgamation is in the interest of Yoruba people. The British created Nigeria for their own selfish gains and selfish interest. It is not for our own interest. And if anyone that is a Yoruba today still thinking that Nigeria was created for the special being of who we are, you are definitely getting it wrong. So the topic tonight will be treated as we are a nation with proud roots and proud history. But let me first give us the introduction of the write-up. In the following pages, Professor Banji Akintoye says, and I quote, "I try to present the glorious picture of our soon-to-come country. Inti baba, I'm just trying to do the, the translation as much as I can. Interface bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ̀rọ̀ lé nípa ẹ̀, òun ni tí a lè sọ pé tí èèyàn bá ya àwòrán yẹn bó bá ṣe dúró, tó bá ṣe jókòó náà ló máa bá rẹ nínú ẹ̀. Kí ni àwòrán tí à ń sọ yìí? Àwòrán bílẹ̀ Yorùbá ṣe fẹ́ rí àti bó ṣe máa dá tó ju ibi tí à ń pè ní Nàìjíríà lénìí. Òun ni ìdí tí bàbá ṣe kọ ìwé ìjáde fún àwa sọ̀rọ̀sọ̀rọ̀ láti lè máa fi bá gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá sọ̀rọ̀ nílé lóko. Mo kí gbogbo yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, ẹ má bínú pé àní lè máa dárúkọ torí àsìkò. I try to describe the dreams that impelling millions of Yoruba men and women in all countries of the world to engage seriously in the Yoruba self-determination struggle. Ntí bàbá ń ṣàlàyé níbẹ̀ yẹn ni pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa nígbà míì á sùn, èèyàn á lálàá, ó depend ibi tí àlá yẹn bá gbé ẹ lọ. Àbí kó jókòó, kó kọ̀ máa ronú pé ọ̀nà tí òun wò yìí, ìdí tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa tí a ṣe sá kúrò ní Nàìjíríà àti irú èmi náà ni pé a rí future nínú Nàìjíríà. Tí ó bá jẹ́ pé future wà nínú Nàìjíríà, ó ṣeé ṣe kémi náà kí n má kúrò ní Nàìjíríà. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lè argue pé àwọn kan ṣàwọn Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n rí tí wọ́n ṣe. There is no doubt about it. But at what percentage? Òun ni ká máa béèrè. Èèyàn mélòó ló wà nínú Nàìjíríà ló ní 1 million naira lákàùntẹ̀, àbí ló ní access sí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tí ìjọba gbọ́dọ̀ provide látara pé bóyá fún tax tí wọ́n ti yọ lára aráàlú, àbí àwọn ètò tí wọ́n ti ṣe sílẹ̀ láti lè fi jẹ́ kí ilé ayé wa kó ní ìrọ̀rùn ju bí ó ṣe wà lọ nísìn. So bàbá Akintoye wa ń jẹ́ kó yé wa pé he tried to describe the dreams. Wọ́n gbìyànjú pé àlá tí à ń sọ yìí kó lè bá wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Torí ọ̀tọ̀ ni ká sọ, ọ̀tọ̀ ni ká ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí. Ká lè ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí náà ni ìdí tí a tún ṣe wà lórí ìjókòó lénìí, tẹ́yìn náà fi ń gbọ́ wa àtẹni tó máa gbọ́ nígbà tí a bá parí ètò yẹn ní àsìkò tí Ọlọ́run bá ní kẹ́ láǹfààní àti gbọ́. Òun ni pé ọmọ Yorùbá ní gbogbo ibi tí a wà ní àgbáyé, àtẹni tó ń bẹ nílé, àtẹni tó wà lórí ìrìn àjò, ó wà important, ó ṣe pàtàkì, ó ṣe kókó pé ká wà engage in these self-determination organizations and clubs to keep awake. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ a máa ní wákàtí ní àtúgbé tó kalẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ti ṣe mọ ètò tọ̀dọ̀ tiwa, a sọ pé àsìkò kan la fi jáde, àsìkò kan la ní jáde. It's a 24 hours platform, and that means that látara tí bàbá ń sọ nínú bíbà, òun náà ni pé we will keep awake. A máa dárun mọ́jú for many hours in the night. Ó wù mí pé kémi náà wà lórí bed kí n máa sùn. Ó wù mí pé kí n wà lórí bed kí mo máa yí, kí n máa lálàá. Àmọ́ látara pé béèyàn bá fẹ́ nǹkan kan tí ó dẹ̀ fẹ́ jẹ́ kí nǹkan yẹn kó wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Áyà pé bóyá o fẹ́ ṣe exam. Ẹni fẹ́ ṣe exam tó bá sùn jù, á jẹ́ pé bóyá òun capture up lọ́sàn. Ìyẹn ni ó ṣe ń sùn ní òru, because ẹni tó fẹ́ lọ ṣe exam látara pé bóyá o fẹ́ ní àṣeyọrí, oorun yẹn wà máa dá oorun mọ́jú lásìkò kan. Kí ló dé tẹ́ ṣe ń dárun mọ́jú? Láti fi ṣàdúrà. Kí ló dé tẹ́ ṣe ń dárun mọ́jú? Láti fi ṣe jìgìjìgì. pẹ̀lú ìwọ àti ìyàwó ẹ̀. Kí ló dé tẹ́ ṣe ń dárun mọ́jú láti fi wò bóyá ó tilẹ̀kùn inú ilé ẹ̀? Ṣé rí gbogbo àwọn ilé tá à ń ṣe ní wákàtí ọ̀gànjọ́ òru yìí, ó ti wà lára tí bàbá Akintoye náà sọ síbi tó ní you will keep awake, ẹ máa ṣàìsùn tó pọ̀ for many hours. Wọ́n sọ pé jọ́ kan, wọ́n sọ pé jọ́ méjì. Kò ń ṣe gbogbo wa náà la máa lè ṣe àìsùn, but àwa tá bá lè ṣe, it is also part of the workload for us to be able to achieve what we want. I want Yoruba country. I don't see any reason why I should be in UK. But I don't have to be in Nigeria because Nigeria will not allow me to do exactly what I would love to do. I would rather want to be in a country where laws will be used to protect me and guide me and make sure that whatever my dreams as a human being will not be tampered with. If I commit a crime in a Yoruba country, I expect judgment to be served on me without any kind of interference from somebody that knows somebody. You will not get such in Nigeria. That is why it is very difficult for many people to live in the country known as Nigeria. As many people even want to leave Nigeria because it is not about having huge amount of money in your account. It's about able to know that you have a future in a country that respects the dignity of the citizen. Nigeria does not hold that. And that is why many innocent Nigerians were literally, with evidence, even though the government denied it and tried to cover up, as many Nigerians will not understand, including the Yoruba Tembenin. The EndSARS shows that Nigeria does not value your citizenship as a country. And if you are probably forgotten what took place on the 10th of October 2020, which is just about 4 years ago, we'll be coming up to about 4 years. Many Nigerians were holding what should be the pride of any citizens around the world, the national flag, singing the national anthem. Yet, Nigerian military that is meant to defend and protect the integrity of the fake country known as Nigeria left their military barracks. They were not heading to Sambisa Forest. They were not heading into where the terrorists that are killing many Nigerians and protect you. Rather, they drove to where peaceful protesters that were asking for something that has gone wrong within the society and the system known as EndSARS. The SARS were doing things that were not meant to be done to a citizen. And you will expect that the military would also respect such. But because Nigeria is an animalistic country, a zoological country that British created to kill the citizens and not allow you to have value. And we saw what happened during the EndSARS. So if you are still one Nigeria that think that overnight it is a leadership problem, because that is some of the argument. Leadership problem can be resolved within a new nation called Yoruba country. You will never get a leader that will serve all the 250 ethnic groups within Nigeria. there will always be bias. They will always serve the interest of only their people. And that is why Yoruba people must think that Tinubu will finish his tenure, God willing. Whether the 4 years, which is still guaranteed, I don't know about the next one until 2027. The question to Emabirain, what next? If Tinubu moves anything out of Abuja, the next president also have the power to move it back to Abuja. So we've seen Tinubu taking some moves, taking the CBN and some other institution out of Abuja. All that is because Tinubu is the president. He will not be able to do such after his tenure has been completed. And you can just ask yourself if Buhari, the former president, can still make any changes within Nigeria today after he has left the office. President Buhari, the former president rather, does not have any more power to decide the affairs from Aso Rock. He had that privilege after holding it for 8 years and allowing terrorists to infiltrate every part of Nigeria and collapse the Nigerian economy purposely, and eventually turn a blind eye like he has no understanding of the damage he has done, and many killings as he was going to kill Igboho on the 1st of July 2021, and he was going to kill Nnamdi Kanu in 2017, and he was going to kill Omoyele Sowore as well. And on that particular note, you can see that there is no amount of your own person being in the realms of affairs of the government. As soon as that person leaves, the next person will run it according to their own agenda. Let's come back to the discussion here. You would have to keep awake for many hours in the night after night, putting ideas from their disciplines and professions in writing about how soon to come country shall be great. So in Tiba Akintoye and Sonny Banipwe, you don't have to wait for Koikimedia or the other media to be giving you information. You also have duties and responsibility to convince the next person on the reasons why Yoruba should borrow in Nigeria. Many people now know the reasons, but we all probably might not know how to put it to the people, especially when you are to one. And we cannot blame anybody because we have lived in a society that we have been told lies, that we are the future of tomorrow. We are going to be the best in Africa. We are the most populous Black people in Africa. So what we should start telling people is part of what we are treating and talking about, that the foundation of Nigeria was the beginning of the problem. God Almighty made us Yoruba people a great people of talent, intellect, and skills. 3 good things there. Ọlọ́run ọba Elédùmarè, ó dá gbogbo wa dáadáa. Kò síbi tí ó wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò jẹ́ kó máa gbádùn ayé tó dáa. Kò síbi kankan tó jẹ́ kó wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò jẹ́ kó wà develop. Kò síbi kankan nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò jẹ́ kó ní access sí gbogbo nǹkan tí ọmọ ẹ̀dá ènìyàn tó gbọ́dọ̀ ní access sí, gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Amẹ́ríkà, ọmọ Canada, ọmọ France, ọmọ UK, ọmọ Belgium, Australia, New Zealand, ọmọ India, ọmọ China. But ìdí tẹ́ ṣe ní access sí government yìí ni pé government yìí ò rí yín gẹ́gẹ́ bí ènìyàn. They are seeing you from the other side of animalistic people. Láti máa fún ní peanuts, láti máa fún ní crumbs. So we need to stop that, because all these politicians have kept us in what we know as abject poverty. And that is why they can even come to your face and tell you that if you dare say anything, we will take you out and we will kill you. They've turned our youth into violent. A video was sent to me yesterday. I'm still scared to watch it. I've not opened it. These are innocent young Nigerians, Yoruba. The call came through yesterday, and up to now, I have not opened that video. Cultism. They've damaged many lives. And I only pity many of you that continue to say we should keep quiet. The future is bleak, and the future is not bright anymore. The crime rate in Nigeria will continue to skyrocket because the economy is biting everybody. Yoruba people, a great people of talent, intellect, and skills. A large numbers of us are now pouring out those gifts into ideas that will make our country one of the greatest and the most famous countries in the history of the world. And that will make us, Yoruba people, a loving, laughing, humiliating family of happy and contented men, women, and children, which we used to be. We used to be very, very happy. We are happy people. We are still happy people, but that happiness is being taken away from us. Most Yoruba people lately that are becoming monsters is because Nigeria is creating a different version of who we are. We are the most happiest people on the planet. We are also the most giver among all other ethnic groups around the world. I know you man take Shewa, but that is becoming the other way around. And if we leave it to continue like this, we will all suffer the consequence of it, whether you live outside Nigeria or you live within Nigeria. A lot of the intellectual and other efforts, ìgbìyànjú àwọn tí ó ní làákàyè àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀wọ̀n tí wọ́n wà very intellectual. Àmọ́ ìgbìyànjú yẹn by our people come to me as a father of our self-determination struggle. Bàbá ni Bàbá Akintoye jẹ́ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. Lóòótọ́ aláwọn àgbàlagbà tó jẹ́ àwọn bàbá náà wọ́n pera wọn ní the elders within the Yoruba land today. Should we ask them, what kind of elders are these men and women? Is it for their own interest or the interest of the millions of Yoruba people that I speak to you right now? Very dark across the Yoruba land. Some are not dark, we got to be honest. But when we talk about those things like that, the percentage is what we should ask. If you close your eyes and ask about 191 local governments in Yoruba land today, at this time of the hour at 3:30, which is the same time in Yoruba land, southwest of Nigeria, you realize that life has been removed from millions of our people because they can't access everything that could have made their life better. Altogether, they make me humble, happy, and proud, Professor Banji Akintoye. Employing my own specialty and insight, Babawa Joko, because of his specialty and insight, I hereby put forth, point by point, the main items of what I perceived to be our nation's purpose, determination, and expectation. Many people around the world would even want to ask, you want a nation, you want to have your own independent country. What are the expectations? Many of us had huge expectations for Nigeria, but it actually failed us. And it is still failing. So, Tabawana affected by Yoruba country. What kind of expectation should you tell your colleagues at work? Country tiwa. Things will be automated. Things will work. Things will be in this direction. Not that everything is perfect in this country. I keep telling you that. Not that everything is perfect in America. I'm sure some of you have been following the news in Iran. I have been following it up to this present. And if you are not aware of what is happening in Iran, that means you are cut out from what is happening in the world. As I speak to you right now, the whole of Iran is in mourning. Not that somebody have died yet, but do you know that Gbogbo Iran by Bashin Soro Latano? And if I look at the time now in Iran, the time right now in Iran is telling me Iletimo. For the last almost 12 to 14 hours, one war president, one mobile helicopter jabosi. A journey that should have been just under 20 minutes, OTD, over 14 hours. Lotin war president. Otikuni, Oyemi, Koseni Kokotomo. A country that has every resources. They've deployed it. They've asked for help. Koda, they've asked for help from the European Union to allow access to their satellite to pinpoint Mibole helicopter Jabosi. And as I speak to you right now, looking at the news that I have in front of me, that I've been following, yes, I know they've picked up the pinpoint of the helicopter, but that is after many hours. And yet, they've not even given us any update whether that helicopter, they found anybody alive or dead. But that's not where we're going tonight. I am just using that as, what kind of country do we want? What kind of country do we want to give? Which is the basic of where most of us will have our conversation, or probably in our church, in our mosque. What kind of country do you want Nigeria to be? And do you still think that you will get that kind of country? Because we all dream to have a kind of country, but apparently we've been told lies that we will get a country that works for us. But after 63 years, we are still asking again and again, irú country wo la fẹ́? Àti pé, are we ever going to get such a country? Ǹjẹ́ country tí a fẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí Nigeria? Do you think, I am asking you, I don't know, because I know that I cannot get anything out of Nigeria. We've prayed. Look, we have prayed. We have worked hard. Some of us have worked hard towards fixing some of the problems, even without having access to being in the political realms of affairs. I was involved in the Nigerian community for 10 years. I didn't get paid for that. It was a passion. The same passion Timon Lo from Yoruba Nation. I used it for Nigeria for 10 years in the United Kingdom. I did not get paid. I worked hard day and night. Sometimes Mushe Mandeli Tibalo attend events to get in the Nigerian community. And I was doing it without looking back and asking myself, or without any gain. Sometimes when people say, what gain do we want out of Yoruba Nation? Is it because the YouTube money? Is it because super chat? Is it because we want to be recommended or to be known? I have been known, at least within the Nigerian community, because I served in that community. And I still have good brothers and friends and uncles. But I just refuse to engage with anything called Nigerian again. Because it's lies. I can tell you that. Tobanoshe Business Summit to involve Nigeria is lies. Because all I saw for 10 years is all those business summits did not replicate anything. Not that they did not try to bring it down to Nigeria, but it failed. Just as many people invested in Nigeria. If you invest in Nigeria today, ask yourself, what was your gain? What was your return? It's because the system is not for us. So when people ask you, under self-determination, Bafigba country, what do you tell them? Kidney the first thing to face suffering way, tabak by Yoruba country, ìyàtọ̀ báyìí ló máa wà, ìyàtọ̀ báyìí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀. There are also problems in the UK. Before I go to the next slide. Last week to turn, towards the end of last week, I believe probably either on Thursday or Wednesday, a 6-year-old, Omodo Mefa. How that happened is what is going to be investigated under the health and safety of the local government, the London Borough, Omodo Mefa. Ó dẹ̀ crawl láti ojú window tí wọ́n ti ń complain pé council gbọ́dọ̀ wá fix. A broken window. He died. Ó jábọ́ láti 15-story building. The council would then have to be having serious investigation because the parents said they've reported that problem 5 times. So don't see it as the UK is just a country that doesn't have its own problems. But what we are saying is that Taba Nafegba Yoruba Nation as a country, what are we expecting to tell the people, the expectation? Many people don't tell you because my expectation. The argument is always that the same set of people, I want Saraki, I want Bisi Akonde, I want the same set of these corrupt politicians, I want Olomawa She Yoruba Nation for you. And I'm going to come to Showore and, probably in another program because I listen to all he says. And I will also come and argue with him. Hopefully I'll have time to bring in if he can. For telling us that Tabagba Yoruba Nation is going to be the same set of people. That's a lie. Showore lied there. That's a bloody lie. I love him and I care for him. We communicate on a daily basis. At least he sent me messages. But for him to come on the show and say, Tabagba Yoruba country, yeah, the same set of people, no Loma running. How? We check by the Constitution of Nigeria. If the Constitution of Nigeria changed today, many of those politicians will not be able to be your politicians. They will not have, because the Constitution, the people will draft and be accepted by the people, not the one that was forced on every one of us today. Don't go in the 1999 Moje Constitution. So it is important that the Bamba Wanyosoro, whether those that, look, there are millions of Nigerians outside that do not want to hear about Yoruba nation. They are not going to come back to Nigeria, but they are praying for Nigeria to become a country that will work. But they're not coming back. We saw them. The same set of people that told you to vote for APC. Remember, Tinubu was in Chatham House. Esharito Lulu. Àwọn people yan wálé. Àwọn tó campaign fún Tinubu fún APC. Gbogbo wọn wà ní UK báyìí nísìn. Wọ́n wà l'Amẹ́ríkà. Wọ́n lọ́lé láti lọ tẹ̀ support ẹ̀ pé ìjọba yìí ó àjọ máa ṣe ni. If we have a Yoruba nation today, I don't have to be in UK. I will return back to Yoruba land with the first flight out of this country. And I would just go and do my own to support the government. Whether to be paid with the job that I would do, or to do what I call voluntary services. Gbogbo àwọn tí ẹ rí, ẹ lọ wo àwọn fídíòs yẹn nígbà tí Tinubu wá sí London, sí Chatham House. Tó ń bí láwọn béèrè, ó ní wọn ní láti answer question kankan. We're not here to bring Tinubu down. Ó ní wọn ní àwọn economic team tó ń kó wá, ó yá, tó bá bí ní question, ó ń refer padà sáwọn èèyàn. And you can see what is happening right now in that crazy contraction you call Nigeria. I am doing this debrief. We might not do it the next time Tabamanship program, but because this is the first one out of what Akintoye has given me to talk about, which is the good news, path to prosperity in our ORILEEDE Yoruba, is in 95 with a lot of different content. One of it is what we are using tonight, which is called We Are a Nation with Proud Roots and Proud History. But Mushin Kong finally the introduction and doing some kind of analysis around it. We might not do that the next time. We just go straight into the topic. And it's coming up to 3:46 a.m. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. If you're new to the platform, I don't talk anything less than self-determination. I care less about your Nigeria anymore. There's no amount of what you can say about Nigeria that can convince people like us anymore. It is not working. It was not designed to work, but we didn't know that. While we were serving and working hard in the Nigerian community, because it was a fruitless journey. Gbogbo summit mo bá wọn lọ submitted, bá wọn attended, whether from my media, using publicity, it did not derive anything into Nigeria that I can tell you. And I want anybody within the Nigerian community to come and challenge what I'm saying. Gbogbo business summit tó gbé wá sí ìlú yìí, kó fún mi ní report kan padà pé ibi báyìí la gbé business summit yẹn lọ after tí a ṣe proposal ní UK tó dẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ ní Nigeria, regardless of wherever in Nigeria. It's lies. Not that some of them did not try to bring those projects back home, but your governors, your politicians wanted to take part of it, and that actually made it to fail. Kò ń ṣe pé àwọn tó wá ṣe àwọn summit yẹn ní bíbá, but tó bá gbé dé Nigeria, governor náà máa náà fẹ́ percentage. Sometimes government change and the whole thing change. I've talked about before Akeredolu died. I want to know Shisha Akeredolu. I will not mention the name of that person. But on his Instagram, which is still there, Afitobati Yokuro, only gbogbo services táwọn ṣe f'Akeredolu, he didn't get paid for it. And let's move swiftly again. So it is important that when people talk about Yoruba nation, we must give the expectation of what we should expect Tabadebe. Is it the same system Tawanu Nigeria Lamadebe Tamarini? No, could it possible? In my 24 years of living in UK, so much have changed. Immigration mo fẹ́ sọ ni. Tó bá sọ fún mi ní 24 years ago pé wọ́n máa kó àwọn èèyàn lọ sí Rwanda. If you apply for asylum, we wá kọ́kọ́ gbé ẹ lọ. I mean, imagine you arrive in UK, nǹkan kan ló ń lé ẹ kúrò nílùú ẹ as a Nigerian. You now got here to apply for asylum. Wọ́n wá ní okay, kátẹ̀ tó fún ẹ ní result pé a máa accept or not, a tún fi plane gbé ẹ lọ sí Rwanda. Kí ló dé tó kúkú wá lọ Rwanda yẹn tẹ́lẹ̀? Kò kúkú máa lọ gbé níbẹ̀, because what the UK government is saying is that Rwanda is a peaceful country for you to go. I want an arrangement by Rwanda. If you apply for asylum, we will take you down there. And people have been removed to Rwanda. But this was not there 24 years ago. So it shows that things are evolving. When I came here 24 years ago, you drive, you don't have to prove to the police right on the spot that you have insurance that they can confirm. You have to take that note to the police station with your driver license, where they will now check. But listen, a police officer can automatically tell you that your car does not have roadworthiness because of the technology. Laws have changed. So when some of us are saying that Tabadele Yoruba Tanloy, it will be the same shenanigans. That is why your politicians doesn't want to support it. One more. I was reading an article before we move swiftly again yesterday that was put together by the Koikimedia team. No, not Koikimedia team. I actually saw it in one of the newspapers, and I'll give you that briefly. And I was like, this is exactly what we are saying. Olórí kẹ́mbẹ̀kẹ́mbẹ̀ tó ń pè ní Ṣèyí Mákindé. Olórí kẹ́mbẹ̀kẹ́mbẹ̀. Ọ̀yọ́ monarch begs Ṣèyí Mákindé over withheld entitlement and recognition. Ṣèyí Mákindé tó máa gbogbo tó kù tó ní ní 63 years. Àwọn bá wa ń bẹ̀ pé kó fáwọn ní ẹ̀tọ́ àwọn. Did you see the kind of nonsense that is happening in Yoruba land today? It is the British. British ló sọ fún àwọn politicians pé ẹ wà superior ju ọba lọ. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣe rí ní UK? Ṣé politician wà superior ju King Charles lọ nílùú yìí? How did we get to this nonsense? That Ọ̀yọ́ monarch begs Ṣèyí Mákindé. And you can get that information from the paper called The Nation. The Nation Nigeria. This was posted yesterday. How did we get to this? It's a deliberate act. Kí ọba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kó máa bẹ̀ governor kó jọ pé entitlement òun. Just like many of you are begging today. Many of you Nigerians are begging for your right. Your ownership. You are the ownership of what is called Nigeria, at least as it stands today. Those of you on Instagram, it's going to go off and we come back again. But apparently, many of you are not enjoying your entitlement. Your entitlement have been restricted from you. Your entitlement is not coming to you. So let's just read a little bit from that. Oyo monarch begs Seyi Makinde over withheld entitlement and recognition. The Arasado of Irasado is Surulere local government area of Oyo State. Oba Abraham Olafimihan Adeyeye. Did you hear the word? Oba. And the governor that is just there for a tenure of another 3 years is now taking advantage because of the political system, the way it has been structured, to restrict the entitlement of a royal king within the Yoruba land, which is what the British created. That our politicians have disrespected the royal tools. Has sought the intervention of Governor Seyi Makinde over alleged injustice meted on him by a particular government ministry in the state. A king is getting injustice, and many of you want justice in Nigeria. How? These are part of what we should continue to argue with our expectation, that this shouldn't happen when we have a Yoruba country. The royal tools will be respected as against the one Nigeria is producing on many of our kings. Oba says that injustice meted on him by a particular government ministry in the state. These are the damages that have been done on many of our people. So when you are here saying to me, Nigeria will work, but injustice is meted on the king, because if there is injustice within the royal stool, then the question is, who are you? Because the Arasado of Irasado is Surulere local government area of Oyo State. Oba Abraham Olafimihan Adeyeye has sought intervention of the governor Seyi Makinde over alleged injustice meted on him by a particular government ministry in the state. He lamented that despite approval of his appointment and presentation of instrument of office by the governor in May 24, 2019, as the Arasado of Irasado, yet the ministry still refused to recognize him as the monarch of the town and also deny him of his entitlement. Lati 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5 years. So these kings have been going through torture in 5 years since his appointment on the 24th of May, which is coming up to 5 years in just 4 days. And you think that you will pray to rectify your entitlement to you. You will pray that your entitlement will come to you through your ballot box or through your voting. Did you see what makes people like us go mad sometimes? How did we get here? But we can't blame anything than the fraudulent amalgamation. This is what it did. I saw the Oba of Benin dancing because some artifacts were returned back from Germany. Stolen artifacts in the first place. The Europeans destroy our tradition and force a fraudulent political system that will control our kings. Let's move swiftly. urge all my Yoruba people to read it. This is Professor Akintoye. And I'm going to put this on our website, hopefully by sometime this week. I urge all my Yoruba people, and my website is www.koikimedia.com. Lots and lots of documents. If you go through it one at a time, you will find what you're looking for there, at least under the Yoruba Nation self-determination movement. Once again, thank you so much to those of you that are watching it live. Sorry I cannot be mentioning name because of the time constraint, but we do appreciate wherever you're watching from. Thank you so much. But it's part of working back to back. That is only what can give us the dreams that we want. So Babakitoye says, I urge all my Yoruba people to read it, and I urge each to endeavor to bring the benefit of his or her specialty to bear on any of these various points. We're all good in different things. I am not good in everything. I am good in talking, analysis, bringing things together to make it sound and look good to you. You are the listeners. You can disagree, you can agree. But are you also just going to sit back, or you will pick from your own specialty and use it towards encouraging and supporting the movement? Or you will just sit back and say, we are waiting for you to all complete it and then we will eat it together? Some of you are good in the law. Are you looking towards a law that can help us towards this movement? Some of you are economics. Some of you are biologists. Some of you are just layman. Kini Wofe adds in the movement. And if you cannot add anything, what about your support towards the OLAYOMI 10? By just going to www.thystm.org, donation, subscription. And if you're in Nigeria, it's just 10 naira. Oh, it's up only 10 naira now. I know Nigeria is hard, but don't tell me you don't have 10 naira. You must have 10 naira. That is the minimum you have been asked to pay. So if we all then put that money in there, you might then ask me, Koiki Kilema for Woyenshi. It's not me. It is there for every one of us, for the purpose of the self-determination. So I hope and I encourage every one of us, home and abroad, to be involved and support the OLAYOMI 10. You can also support other accounts within different groups that are operating them, because every WhatsApp group of Yoruba Nation, they have different projects that they are doing. But the most important is that we must put our money into the YSDM for this movement to grow. It's fine. Maybe you have other things that you are planning for the future towards this. But right now, everybody must involve. It is our fundamental right to be involved in this. I know some will say, we care less about Yoruba Nation. We're just going to work towards making Nigeria work. British prayed from the day one, we alone in Nigeria could work. That is what the British have done. Because if not, they shouldn't have merged or joined us together. And they are laughing at us as we continue trying to climb the road to where we will survive. But as we are climbing, there's a snake that continues to bite us. Do you know that game, Snake and Ladder? You are already at the top. And we go and come back because of the 1 hour on Instagram. You're already at the top. And then that snake brings you all the way back to the bottom. Many of you are hardworking, but your indigenousship and your real identity has failed under Nigeria. It is the citizenship that we are holding today that is holding every one of us backwards. Don't be deceived by the liars, the bankers, the lawyers, the economics. They've all been doing economics of Nigeria for 63 years, the galloping economics, and yet it does not bring any fruit to you as the citizen. This is the reason why we should say enough is enough, and Nigeria should come into a total disintegration, peacefully, hopefully. Let's move swiftly. It's coming up to 4 o'clock. We have not even touched the topic. This is still the introduction. In its totality, this is a manifesto from those of us who are fighting for our sovereign Yoruba nation. We are not political parties. There's a difference between us and the fraudulent political parties that are all the same, in the same camouflage, but continue to deceive you that they are different from each other. Saraki was one time one of them, then he moved to another party. They are all corrupt. They are all the same. And that is why you will never find any trustworthy politicians in that zoological country you call Nigeria. I know a lot of you pray that you will have just one good politicians, but you won't, because they are not committed for you. They are committed to themselves, their cronies, and their foreign expatriates. Their foreign expatriates are much more important than you as a citizen. And that is why, even though the wife of Ken Saro-Wiwa begged Abacha not to kill the husband, pleaded with Abacha, yet Abacha went further to execute by hanging Ken Saro-Wiwa, because Ken Saro-Wiwa was asking for something that's got to do with the citizens. Ken Saro-Wiwa wanted to know why the citizens are struggling when they have the oil wells. If you're not giving them the oil to make their country or their state better, why then destroy their fish line? Today, Shell has destroyed almost all the river Rhine in the Niger Delta. As we continue to look up to so much expectation that is not coming anywhere, Nigerians wake up with the hope that something dramatically will change. That can only be when you support the sovereignty of a Yoruba country away from Nigeria. Yoruba nation, our independent Yoruba country, separate from Nigeria. I live in the unwavering faith and hope that our Yoruba country shall come soon, be free. Some always ask, how soon? How soon be when Tiwo Emi take the message to every part of the globe? Your friends, I would always, with anyone that are not from Nigeria, during conversation, let them know that Nigeria is a zoo and it is not working because British created it, not because of Yoruba people, for their own selfish interests. You must be bold enough to tell your English friends, your Scottish, your Welsh, your Americans friends, your Italian. They will always know Nigeria, but they might not even know you as a Yoruba person. It is then up to you to give them education within 2 minutes of your conversation with them. Don't feel shy. Always be proud to tell them that you are Yoruba. Nigeria is just not a country. and that thereafter we shall see the glory of God upon the life of our free and sovereignty. Yoruba nation upon all of us, the Yoruba people. I'm just going to give you some of the content of what we're going to be talking about in the near days, months ahead. But the topic we are treating tonight, which I'm going to pick on after telling you the content, is number one, we are a nation with proud roots and a proud history. The second one is, in independent Nigeria, we have suffered serious decline and agony. Number three, we shall revive and strengthen our education. Number four, first and foremost, in our ORILEEDE Yoruba, we shall seriously revive our national character. Number five, our youth development program will transform our nation. Number six, we shall clean up our politics. Number seven, we shall take creative steps about political parties. Number nine, we shall achieve a corruption-free public service. Number 10, we shall create a true and respectable judiciary. Number 11, we shall build an incorruptible civil service. Number 12, we shall craft the most appropriate constitution. Number 13, we shall have truly Yoruba national military and security services. Number 14, we shall evolve an effective foreign policy and services. Number 15, we shall evolve the best immigration policy. Number 16, our country shall be a land of enterprise and plentiful jobs. Number 17, we shall kill corruption in our country. Number 18, we shall have trusted and respectable public media. Number 19, we shall place great emphasis on sport. Number 20, we shall go very powerfully for technology. Number 21, we shall impose order on our mineral exploitation. Number 22, we shall create a highly efficient transportation. Number 23, we shall make our electricity supply maximally efficient. Number 24, we shall have regular water supply in our towns. Number 25, we shall evolve a rational healthcare system. Number 26, we shall modernize our cities. Number 27, we shall seriously emphasize enterprise and business. Number 28, we shall take conscientious care of our weaker citizens. Number 29, we shall at least go seriously for modern agriculture. Number 30, we shall elevate tourism. Number 31, we shall preserve and strengthen religious harmony in our country. Number 32, we shall restore dignity to our Obas. Number 33, we shall return fully to our Yoruba language. Number 34, we shall keep the cost of governing low and patriotic. Number 35, politics and public service will be patriotic and clean and open to all true patriots in our new country. These are all what we should be expecting within the next days and weeks and months on this platform, as that will be our discussion every other day or every day, depending on how quick we can catch up with it. But this morning, the one we're going to talk about is we Yoruba are a nation with proud roots and a proud history. This was put together by Professor Banji Akintoye. Let's read further. We Yoruba are a nation with a long and proud history. According to our very powerful ancient traditions, we Yoruba are the oldest people of the first of the humans in the world. Those traditions tells us that in the beginning of time, when all the surface of the earth was covered by water, the Creator God sent some heavenly beings to come down and establish life on the earth. The heavenly being descended, bringing with them a chicken, a palm nut, a small pot filled with a quantity of earth. Their leader was Oduduwa. When they reached the surface of the water, they pour out the earth contained in a small pot, and it formed a small piece of ground. Then they put the chicken on this ground, and the chicken went to work, scratching the ground with its claws. And the ground spread, and over time became the continent of the earth. They then sowed the palm nut on the ground, and it germinated and became the first plant in the world. The heavenly beings themselves became the first humans. Oduduwa became the progenitor of the first people in the world. The Yoruba people, and therefore the progenitor of all humans. This little story or myth might make our children laugh, but to historians, it is something very serious. Very important. It shows that long ago, our Yoruba ancestors saw themselves as the first people in the world and had no memory of any other or earlier humans before their Yoruba group. They even evolved more details over time to add more strength to their creation myth. For instance, one myth has it that Oduduwa descended by a chain, and that the chain is in Ile-Ife, the spot where Oduduwa touched down. And very importantly, early Yoruba people evolved patterns of behavior from the certainty of their belief that Yoruba people are the first humans in the world. Behaviors such as goodwill towards all human groups, hospitality to all foreigners. In the 19th century, in some part of our Yoruba homeland, especially in Ife, some of the first European visitors were puzzled that our people received them as kinsmen who had been long gone and who were returning to visit the original home of their ancestors. While we are pondering this fact of Yoruba history, some modern scientists who are researching in human genetic history are now saying that the earliest human DNA in the world have been found in our Yoruba nation. And according to all evidence from the archaeological and allied research, we Yoruba, as one distinct cultural group, have been living in our present homeland since as far back as 8,000 years ago. The earliest human bone fossil found in a cave near Akure in Yoruba land and dating to 6,000 BC, that's about 8,000 years ago, is the oldest human bone fossil found in West Africa. Since 8,000 years ago, we Yoruba have owned, held this own land, and we have developed on it from the age to age the highest level of civilization in Black Africa south of the Sahara. Long before the rest of the Black Africa, we Yoruba began to develop into an urbanized people, a people living in towns and cities. Our homeland was the only urbanized part of Black Africa for many centuries. We built our first towns in the 9th century AD, the first being the town of Ile-Ife. And we built more and more in the following centuries. By the time the earliest European explorer came to the coast of the West Africa in about 1470 AD, we already had very many towns and cities all over our Yoruba land, most of them walled. By the date, we were one of the most urbanized peoples in the world. Most of the Yoruba cities' walls were great works of engineering. Modern researchers who have done research on one of the city walls, the Ijebu-Ode city wall, have described it as one of the greatest man-made structures of the ancient world. These researchers added that in terms of the amount of earth and rock that was moved in the constructions of Ijebu-Ode city wall and the Great Pyramid of Egypt, the Ijebu-Ode was larger than the Great Pyramid. They also added that surviving segments of the Ijebu-Ode city wall are visible from the space. Our urban civilization was a product of our successful economy. The starting base of this successful economy was our agriculture. Taking advantage of our fertile land, our farmers raised more and more kinds of crops and produced increasing volumes of food. Many of them produced food for the urban market and became some of the richest men in the society. The first European explorers in the interior of the Yoruba homeland in 1825 up to 1826 wrote that throughout their journey, they saw on the other sides of their path extensive plantations of yam, corn, cotton, indigo, oil palm trees, and coconut trees. And they concluded that Yoruba people were very industrialized people. These explorers added that the approach of many Yoruba towns was an imposing avenue of a lordly trees, that the Yoruba cities and towns were clean habitations, that people who usually rush out in the Yoruba city towns and villages to see the white explorers were always cleanly dressed, and that the Yoruba people were an exceptionally hospitable people everywhere. Our towns were also vibrant centers of trade, craftsmanship, art, music, producers of cotton goods, especially various kinds of clothes and cotton, yarn, smith producing various kinds of metal tools and implements, producers of jewelries, including beads, various kinds of entertainment and entertainers, including mask entertainers, diviners, herbal healthcare providers, and many others. Our homeland was a land of great commerce. Most traders traded only within their towns, and each town, various sizes of market size existed. Some of the largest markets were famous throughout our country and even beyond our country. One European trader wrote in about 1700 that one Yoruba marketplace that he visited was at least 4 times the size the new market in Amsterdam, that not less than 6,000 traders were trading in it that morning, and that he was greatly impressed by the otherness that prevailed in it. From a long distance away rode some explorers. The noise from the large Yoruba marketplace on the market day was like the roaring of a great sea. Many marketplaces offer nighttime trading. This commonly meant that the daytime trading closed at about 6 p.m. and the nighttime trading started about 9 p.m. The 1825 to 1826 explorers wrote that when one approached a nighttime market from a distance, it was as if one was approaching a sea of stars, because the traders light small oil lamps to illuminate the goods they were selling. The 1825 to 1826 explorers also wrote again and again that the roads connecting the Yoruba towns were generally well kept and were often as level as a bowling green, that every stretch of the road through each kingdom was very well guarded by the officials of the king, and the traders and other travelers kept all the roads busy day and night. An American explorer, William Clark, who traveled extensively in Yoruba land in the early 1850s, wrote as follows about the nature and the volume of trade in Yoruba land in those years. The trade in the native produce and the art keeps up continual intercommunication between the several adjacent towns. The one interchange is abundance of one article for that of another. Thus, on those small roads may be seen caravans of 50s passing almost daily from one town to another, acting as a great reservoir of trade on the longer routes. A network of trade is carried to a distance of hundreds of miles. Hundreds and thousands of people are thus engaged in carrying the trade. Not infrequently, the articles from the Mediterranean and the Western European coast may be seen in close proximity, and the product of the four quarters of the globe within its circumstances whose diameter may be measured by a few yards. When several caravans are thrown together, a correct idea of the extent of the trade may be found in the imposing numbers that stretch over several miles in length. Most of our biggest traders were women, often specializing in long-distance trade, either taking the trade to distant part of their Yoruba homeland or to far foreign lands. Those taking trade to far foreign countries took Yoruba products to most part of Black Africa, to the all point of the West African coast, to interior West African countries as far as Hausa land beyond the River Niger, westwards as far as modern Mali, Mauritania eastward to the country of Kanuri on the Lake Chad, the countries that are now Sudan and South Sudan, and the countries of the Congo Vale. In these distant foreign countries, some Yoruba products, especially colorful Yoruba cotton clothes and Yoruba beads, were popular, specialities, and were avidly sought. When the European trader developed along the West African coast from the 15th century, many of the European traders did a profitable trade in buying some Yoruba product, especially colorful Yoruba clothes, as well as beads, on the Yoruba coast and taking them for sale on the other part of the coast. In many of these foreign countries, Yoruba traders established Yoruba trading colonies, and some of these have existed till modern times. Along most of the West African coast, Yoruba language was a language of trade. A French Roman Catholic priest, Father Columban, who visited most of the West African coast in 1636 up to 1640, wrote that the Yoruba language was the language of trade everywhere along the coast, and that in fact, the peoples of these countries used the Yoruba language in the same way that the peoples of Europe in these times used the Latin language. That is why the people of every nation spoke their native language. Most of their leading citizens, like traders, rulers, etc., spoke the Yoruba language as well. In the same century, another European explorer, Ofat Dapa, wrote that among one of the nations on the West African coast, the people seldom spoke their native language, but spoke mostly the Yoruba language, which in their country is regarded as a noble language. Over this whole dynamic and rich civilization, we Yoruba established an elegant system of leadership and order topped by monarchy government. Each of our towns was ruled by a king or oba, below whom a number of high and low chiefs bow responsibilities for part of the town. The king lived in a large and historic palace, which many specialized courtyards are gorgeously decorated with artistically carved pillars and posts, and with murals and colorful insignia. A high sense of grandeur surrounded the Oba, as was testified by countless European explorers over the centuries. This old system of government was governed by two fundamental principles. The first of these was the principle of sovereignty of the people, the principle that power belongs to the people. Thus, we Yoruba rejected the universal practice whereby kings are succeeded automatically by their biological children, and whereby citizens have no role in the selections of their kings, and choose instead a system whereby the subject selects their king from among the members of the royal lineage. We Yoruba people love to say proudly that we ourselves select our rulers. Also, as a part of the principle of the people's sovereignty, the system gave the serious respect and influence to its people associations, such as the age grade associations and the professional or trade association, like the Market Women Association, Hunters Associations, Smith Association, etc. The role of the woman was specially provided for in a Yoruba system of leadership and governance. Finally, it was part of the principle of the people's sovereignty that every person, young or old, was guaranteed freedom to speak in the affairs of his communities, lineage, and association. Thus, the common Yoruba saying, both young and old have some wisdom to contribute. That is our rule from our beginning. The second principle, governing the whole political system, is the principle that all our Yoruba kings and royal lineage are descendants of the same ancestors. From this principle sprang a large array of beliefs, practice, dynastics, relationships, rituals, and art forms, all of them asserting and emphasizing the origin of all our kings from the same ancestral family, the oneness of our kingdoms, and the utility of our Yoruba nation as one nation. A Yoruba king's particular kingdom might be small, but he reign and glow in his unbroken consciousness of the largest of his Yoruba family of kings and kingdom. From the 16th to the 19th century, one of our kingdoms, the ORILEEDE Kingdom, occupying the northwestern part of our national homeland, struck out and built an empire covering part of Yoruba land and other large territories of many non-Yoruba peoples up to the territories that are now Benin and Togo Republic, the largest empire in the history of the West African forest land. This Oyo Empire was similar to the Australian Empire, in which the German state of Austria was built, an empire consisting of Germany and non-German territories and peoples. When European Christian missionaries brought Western education to Africa in the mid-19th century, we Yoruba adopted it more strongly than other parts of Black Africa. Schools quickly sprang up in most Yoruba towns. By the last year of the 1850s, we were already producing university graduates, highly educated professionals, lawyers, doctors, engineers, accountants, surveyors, teachers, writers, etc. The first newspaper in the Black Africa was published in our city of Abeokuta in 1859, and others soon followed in our other cities. At the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914, we were very much ahead of the rest of Nigeria in education. The first schools did not come to most of the rest of Nigeria until 1920s, by which time many Yoruba families were already producing their third generation of university graduates. No other Nigerian nation produced their first university graduate until the mid-1930s. In the course of the 1950s, with Nigeria then structured as a federation of three regions, East, Northern, and Western regions, each vested with limited self-government, we Yoruba immediately took our Western region far above and beyond the other two regions in all aspects of development, building of new roads, highways, provisions of urban water supply, advancement in agriculture, agricultural export, establishment of skills and development institutions for youth, first industrial estate and residential estate in Africa, first television station in Africa, first free education program in Africa, first modern sports stadium in Africa, etc. The free education proved very revolutionary. It raised us Yoruba people above the rest of the Nigeria, and unofficial statistics commonly circulating in the 70s had it that though We Yoruba were about 24% of Nigerians' population. We Yoruba were 52% of all Nigerian holders of university degrees and 70% of all Nigerian holders of higher degrees such as master's and doctorate degree. Politically, our Western region developed the most democratic system of government and politics and the most professional, competent civil service to Nigeria. Our Western region occasionally gave loans and even grants to the Nigerian federal government. Altogether, we Yoruba grandly displays our inherent strength as a nation of civilization builders, and we were poised to go higher and higher in the world. That is the first topic. This program ends in 20 minutes. So what we're going to do in the course of the coming days, we will explore this particular topic. We will do as much láti translate sédè Yorùbá níwọ̀n bàtà bá lè ṣe, but in tó ṣe pàtàkì tó ṣe kókó nínú gbogbo tí a kà kalẹ̀ yìí fún àpẹẹrẹ àti ìgbìyànjú èyí tẹ́ bá gbọ́ wa ni pé ibì kan ni a ti ṣẹ̀ wá, kò ń ṣe pé a kò jábọ́ lórí omi. Ibi tá ti ṣẹ̀ wá yẹn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ni wọ́n ti yí padà ni wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ́ ká mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti ṣe gbọ́, bí ọba Elédùmarè ṣe dá wa sínú àgbáyé, ó fi hàn pé ìran Yorùbá gangan ló jẹ́ àwọn tó kọ́kọ́ dá sí ilé ayé. But tí wọ́n bá sọ fún wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lénìí, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn á máa ní kò sí nǹkan kan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé irọ́ ni. Àmọ́ ẹ̀rí fi yé wa pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ohun tí a kà ní èdè òyìnbó níbi tá a ti kà ní bíbà tó sọ pé DNA, nígbà táwọn scientists tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe research àti fi hàn wá lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ video evidence wà. Ìwé Lérú ni wọ́n ń pè bẹ̀ yẹn ní Ondo State. As far back as 8,000 years nìran Yorùbá ti ń bẹ. Kí ló wá dé tó wá ń sọ fún wa pé Nàìjíríà tí ó ju dádì ẹ lọ àbí tí dádì ẹ jù lọ òun ni kátàkù sí? Àwọn British ni wọ́n make Nigeria look like pé nǹkan bàbàrà ni. Ilẹ̀ yẹn àwa la ní, orúkọ ló máa yàtọ̀ nígbà tá a bá kúrò nínú orúkọ tó ń pè Nigeria. Kò sẹ́ni kankan tó máa operate Nigeria mọ́ nígbà tó orúkọ bá ti yí padà. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tó níyẹn, gbogbo ohun tó ń ṣe níbẹ̀ lórí ilẹ̀ yẹn náà ló ṣe máa ṣe, àmọ́ àní jẹ́ Nigeria mọ́. Nígbà tí ìran kan ti ń bẹ for more than 8,000 years, ó wá ní ká jù yẹn nù, ká save Nigeria. Níbo ni ká wá fi ìran yẹn sí? Wọ́n tún jẹ́ kó yé wa pé fossil tí wọ́n rí ní Àkúrẹ́ tó ń pè ní Ìwé Lérú is dating back to 6,000 BC, which is about 8,000 years. Egungun tó rí, skull tó rí yẹn, ó show pé ìran wa ti ń bẹ for a very long time. Àwọn òyìnbó aláwọ̀ funfun tí wọ́n wá sí gbogbo àgbègbè wa láti 1400, 1900 ni wọ́n create in Nigeria. Ó jẹ́ kó yé wa pé gbogbo ọjà wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ọjà àárọ̀ wà, ọjà alẹ́ wà. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lè ṣe ọjà alẹ́ mọ́ nísìn torí àwọn Fúlàní àtàwọn terrorist tó ń pààyàn káàkiri. Kódà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gan, mo rò pé lè ṣe ọjà aago 9 títí di aago 6 torí àwọn ọmọ oríṣiríṣi jàǹdùkú tí Nàìjíríà ti sọ di bó ṣe dì. Wọn ò ní jẹ́ kí ẹ lè tajà yẹn. A mọ̀ pé àwọn ọjà Òyìngbò, àwọn ọjà alẹ́ máa ń wà, but mo mọ̀ bóyá wọ́n lè operate títí di aago 6 àárọ̀. Nígbà táwọn òyìnbó máa dé, wọ́n wà surprise. We are still trying to do something from that area, but funding is really holding us back. Wọ́n pè bí kan ní Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde City War. War yẹn wọ́n jẹ́ kó yé wa pé ó wà far better and ahead in engineering ju the Pyramid of Egypt lọ. But tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ pyramid, púpọ̀ nínú yín ò mọ Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde War nítorí pé kò wà projected látara pé Nàìjíríà ò fẹ́ jẹ́ kí àrísà yẹn hàn. Kódà China War, àwọn tó ti lọ sí China wọ́n testify pé Ìjẹ̀bú War in terms of the length ó gùn ju ti China War lọ. but China wọ̀ lẹ́ni nísìn ìdí tí ó ṣe ń pawó wọlé fáwọn Chinese ó ní pé wọ́n ti develop ẹ̀, wọ́n ti ṣọ̀nà sí àwọn èèyàn máa ń rìn. Ó bá jẹ́ pé ó fẹ́ lọ lórí this ni, it is creating tourism for the Chinese. But tí ìran Yorùbá bá ti dá dúró, these are part of what have to be brought back so that we can develop that area and make it a tourism site. Wọ́n tún jẹ́ kó yé wa pé tipẹ́tipẹ́ làwọn ìran Yorùbá ti ń tajà káàkiri gbogbo àgbáyé. A máa ń lọ from point A to point B. Ìdí tí a ṣe ń travel ju gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù lọ nìyẹn, torí pé ìran wa ti ń ṣòwò máa lọ káàkiri. Kò síbi tẹ́ dé nílẹ̀ Áfíríkà lénìí tí ẹ̀ ní bá àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ní Côte d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Togo ọ̀dọ̀ wa ní àti Benin kó tó di pé wọ́n carve out ní 1884 nígbà tó ń ṣe Berlin Conference táwọn òyìnbó ń pín Áfíríkà mọ́ra wọn lọ́wọ́ nígbà tó yẹ pé àwọn lọ níbẹ̀. Ìran Yorùbá àti ń ṣe òwò rẹpẹtẹ. Wọ́n nígbà tí àwọn òyìnbó dé, wọ́n rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀nà tó ń lọ tó ṣiṣẹ́. Wọ́n rí pé à ń gbìn nǹkan, iṣu ni cotton. Lénìí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín ẹ lè wọṣọ tuntun, kò ń ṣẹjọ́ yín nígbà tí a ní enough cotton tí a máa gbé lọ sí industry láti máa produce aṣọ. Kódà àwọn aṣọ tá à ń wọ̀ tó jẹ́ àwọn ẹ̀yà tiwa tí wọ́n ń ṣe ní Kampala àti oríṣiríṣi bẹ́ẹ̀, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀ ó ti ń fade away torí kò sí support látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba tó ń bẹ lénìí, torí pé wọ́n wà concern. Ó better kí wọ́n import gbogbo aṣọ tẹ́ ń wọ̀ wá, ìyẹn boscona láti abroad, gbogbo àwọn pants, brassiere, àwọn boxers, àwọn ṣòkòtò tí a ti wọ̀ pa nílùú òyìnbó ní Germany. Wọ́n wá kó lọ sí Cotonou, ẹ lọ rà. Wọ́n kó wá sí ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, wọ́n wá lè kalẹ̀ ní gbogbo títì ní junction. Ìwọ náà wá máa yọ bra tiẹ̀ ń bẹ̀, wá yọ pátá tiẹ̀ níbẹ̀. Ṣé ó yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Nígbà tó jẹ́ pé ó yẹ káwa lẹ́ẹ̀ka máa ṣe pants tuntun tó máa wọ̀ sí ìdí, tí ó máa wọ ṣòkòtò tuntun. Bọ̀ lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín boscona kò yẹ̀ wò, òun ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín wọ̀. Lóòótọ́ àwọn méjì kankan ṣì ń wọṣọ tuntun, èèyàn mélòó ló ń wọṣọ tuntun? Ìwọ náà máa rò lọ́kàn pé ìjọ́ wo ló ti ra aṣọ tuntun sí rẹ lọ́rùn tí ó wọ̀ tó kì í ṣe boscona. We are 30 minutes away to the end of the program. Wọ́n jẹ́ kó yé wa pé tá bá wò lénìí, ìlú méjì ní àgbáyé òun ló ń control epo pupa. Epo pupa ni wọ́n ń pè ní ẹ̀rọ̀. Kò sí ilé kan nínú ọmọ Yorùbá tí kò ní ní epo pupa nínú ilé. Ẹni tó bá wá ní, a jẹ́ pé bóyá ó tán, àbí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà Nàìjíríà, a jẹ́ pé ẹ ní owó láti ra epo pupa torí pé ó ti wọ́n láti fi sebẹ̀. Bọ̀ láyé àtijọ́, epo pupa gbọ́dọ̀ wà nínú ilé tó lúkàlùkù máa jẹ, torí pé kódà bá ṣe gbọ́ pé bí èèyàn bá jẹ poison tó bá fi epo pupa, á suppress ẹ̀ wọ́n lẹ̀. Àwa la wá ní a fún Malaysia ní ẹ̀yìn. Malaysia kọ́ ni number 1 in the world. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ máa ń ṣe mistake. Indonesia òun ló ní the highest palm oil producer in the world. Indonesia àwọn ló ní, àwọn ni wọ́n ń jèrè ẹ̀. Àwa dẹ̀ ní ọba Elédùmarè fún, but kí la wá fi ṣe? Òun ni ìbéèrè tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa tí a máa ń wò pé kí ló dé tí a lè ṣe epo pupa. It's a big business. What is palm oil? It is an edible vegetable oil that comes from the fruit of oil palm tree. The scientific name is Alicea guinnessii. 2 types of oil can produce crude palm oil. Come from squeezing the fresh fruit, and palm kernel oil, which come from crushing the kernel or the stone in the middle of the fruit. Palm oil is an edible vegetable. Kò sí ọbẹ̀ tó lè sè tó ní fi epo pupa sè. Àbí tó bá tún jẹ́ pé o ti ń fi òróró, o ti fi ń sè ẹ̀fọ́. Ẹ̀fọ́ tó bá fòróró sè, ẹ jẹ́ gbọ́ yẹ̀wò dáadáa pé irú ẹ̀fọ́ wo lélẹ̀. Kò sí ọmọ Yorùbá kan tó máa rí ẹ̀fọ́ tí kò gbọdọ̀ ní nǹkan tó máa pupa lórí ẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wá sọ di pé àwọn tó ń ṣẹbọ tó bá lo epo pupa tó tẹ̀ sórí àwọn nǹkan tó fi ń ṣiṣẹ́, wọ́n á ní kò ń ṣe tradition wa. Tá bá ní ká lọ wo Indonesia lénìí. In 2021, Indonesia produced 46 million tons of crude palm oil. 46 million. Ṣá ní ilẹ̀ láti fi ṣe the same thing. Oh yes. Ṣá láwọn tó fẹ́ ṣe. Oh yes. Kí ló wá dé tá a rí ṣe? Nàìjíríà ló fà. It's as simple as that. Ní 2021, ní ọdún mẹ́ta sẹ́yìn lénìí, Indonesia produced 46 million tons, kò ń ṣe thousand o, 46 million tons of crude palm oil, making it the world's largest palm oil producer. Indonesia ni àkọ́kọ́ ní gbogbo àgbáyé tó ń ṣe palm oil tí a mọ̀ sí epo pupa. The palm oil industry has grown to become an important part of Indonesia's economy, representing 4.5% of the GDP. And you know what? Lifting millions of Indonesians out of poverty. You can see why you are all living in abject poverty. It is not your fault. It is the fault of the British that put us in this complete darkness called Nigeria. If Indonesia is making so much that they've now lifted their people from crude oil, let's put a price or figure to it as well. In 2023, ní ọdún tó kọjá lọ, the value of Indonesia's total palm oil exports on Koikimedia, onímọ̀ ń gbàdúrà pé kí dọ́là kó má di 2,000 to 1 naira. Èyí tó yẹ kó máa gbàdúrà pé k'Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí Tinubu rí production ṣe, so that kí dọ́là yẹn kó má di 3,000 mọ́ yín lọ́wọ́ to $1. Òun complain pé Jésù Kristo ní jẹ́ kó ṣeé ṣe. Jésù kọ́ ni o need, o dẹ̀ need ànábì. You need to produce to be able to bring down the exchange rate. But how Tinubu is going to work and do that in 3 years? Well, our governors, I don't know. But all I know is that you don't need anything more than enough production of many things to bring down the cost of the exchange rate. If that is not going to happen, you might say, if I'm happy about it, I don't care, because I did not create the problem. I am trying to find a solution to the problem. Boba $1 could be 5,000 naira to $1. It makes it quicker for Nigeria to collapse in that direction. Oti kọjá 1,500 already as of today. So gbogbo tó kù tó máa fi wọ 2,000 tí ó bú mi ní 2 weeks ago, tí wọ́n náà bá wà lára àwọn tó bú mi, tó bá láǹfààní àti gbọ́ broadcast yìí. I pray pé kó tẹ̀ má tó 2,000 yẹn before end of this year. But I know that the chances are very, very slim. So whether you like it or not, you would eventually buy the dollar by December at 2,000. Moko push it so that it gives you time for your pain to continue to live in denial. Let's put the number to this particular palm oil. Down in Indonesia, touch 40 million. 40. In 2023, ní ọdún tó kọjá lọ, kò ń ṣe ní 10-30 years ago, while you are praying, Indonesia is making their citizens and lifting them out of poverty. Ìdí tá ṣe wà ní poverty nínú Nigeria is because you don't have a reliable government that is ready to support you as a business, as a farmer, as a student, and everybody lives in denial and pray that it will change one day. The value of Indonesia's palm oil export, tó bá mọ̀ tán pè ní export, it is what you produce and you sell, ló ń pè ní export. But the zoo country called Nigeria continue to import. That means the more they import, the more you will be needing dollar to buy those goods. So you better start thinking how to pray for your government to produce what you will consume rather than import. But Indonesia has decided that for them to lift their citizens out of the poverty line, they will at least use 5% of their GDP from palm oil. That means industry must work. And for the industry to produce that palm oil, I don't think they will have to rely on generators and crude oil and diesel, petrol, or diesel generator to operate. They will need a 24 hours electricity supply. Lately, if it produces 40 million tons of palm oil. And that has given them around 23.97 million US dollars in last year. The value decreased by nearly 6 billion US dollars in comparison to the previous year. Indonesia is the world's largest exporter of palm oil in Malay, and then followed by Malaysia. So, as I leave you this morning, nobody wants to give you what will make you to be free. You would have to work towards that. And the only thing we can do is to tell people about Yoruba nation, self-determination, so that we can have a future that will be bright. You are not too old yet, but don't wait till we all become very weak, like our parents that did not push our complete exit out of Nigeria. And I'm just looking at the OEC. In 3 minutes, the program ends. Indonesia in 2022, 2 years ago, their total export as a country, according to the historical data, which you can just type in Indonesia and then you put OEC, it will bring this up, was 320 billion US dollars. The total export, owó tó pa wọlé láti ọjà tó tà síta. And the palm oil that we talked about, and I'm looking at kilo fún wọn lówó jù, is what I call the core briquette. I don't know what that is, whatever it is. That gave them 50 billion out of the 320. The next thing to fún wọn lówó jù is the palm oil. And the total palm oil that was sold 2 years ago in a country called Indonesia to the value of 28.7 billion US dollars. That's about 8.97%. Nǹkan méjì ló fún wọn ní owó ní Indonesia. One of them is called the coal briquette, but the second one is the palm oil. Àwọn olówó ló wá ra palm oil yìí. Do you know that America bought 1.89 billion worth of palm oil, epo pupa, lọ́wọ́ Indonesia? You'll be asking, kí ló ń fi ṣe? Well, you just have to think about how many Africans or English or white or whatever lives in America. I don't know. But country tó ra palm oil yẹn jù lọ́wọ́ wọn ní India. In tó fi ń ṣe mọ̀ mọ̀. India spent 5.4 billion US dollars buying the crude oil. And on that note, I say good morning, enjoy the rest of the morning. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and I will leave you on the note to say self-determination is our right, and that will remain our right. It's an inalienable right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Remember to stay tuned for more of the other part of the program as we're going to be bringing it. Thank you so much. God bless Yoruba land. God bless every one of us. Odaro.